Very often, as a church, because we don't follow any kind of liturgical calendar, sometimes Easter just arrives, and on Easter Sunday, which is sometimes the only day that we talk about Easter, we're trying to encapsulate talking about all sorts of things to do with Easter, including what happened on Good Friday and then what happened on Easter Sunday, and we're also trying to do that in a 10-minute talk because it's usually a guest service. So we decided this year to break from that tradition and actually have a bit more of a run-up to Easter. And so starting next week for 3 weeks and ending appropriately on Easter Sunday, we have a series which we're calling Understanding the Cross. Now, obviously, the cross is a pretty much universal symbol of Christianity. All church buildings have one. Many people who wouldn't necessarily identify as a follower of Jesus wear one because they feel it's somehow significant. It is in some ways a bit bizarre because the cross was originally a method of execution. So it's a bit like wearing a little mini guillotine around your neck in some ways. But the reality is, in having that as a symbol, we're not remembering the method, we're remembering a person and the consequences of what happened with Jesus. So, starting next week, 3-week series called Understanding the Cross. Now, there is a potential problem with that title, Understanding the Cross, because it kind of implies there's one understanding that is possible that we're going to reveal to you. And if you've been a Christian, for a follower of Jesus for any length of time, particularly, if you've been around for a while, and particularly if your church background has been kind of exclusively evangelical in terms of that theological fold, you could be forgiving for thinking that there is only one understanding of the cross that you were taught, and it probably revolves somewhere around the symbolism of a courtroom or something like that. And the reality is, the answer to the question, what did Jesus do on and through the cross, is actually much wider than that. It would perhaps be better if we'd called it understandings of the cross, because the Bible does use many different images, metaphors, pictures to try and explain the wonder of what happened with Jesus on the cross. And it is, if you have the next slide, please. I've heard it explained, sometimes it's a bit like a diamond with many facets, each facet reflecting a different part of the spectrum of light that all builds up to this amazing picture. I think that's a really nice symbol. So the aim of the series is to enrich our understanding, and through that, hopefully, to deepen and expand our appreciation of what God has done for us through the cross. So that starts next week.